Yeah. TFL, incel, men going their own way. So where are we at? Where are our mindsets at today? In a society that male bashes, places one gender above another, in a society that's filled full of propaganda, lies, deception, non-truths, and through all the anguish and all the pain and all the suffering that TFLers go through, incel guys go through, the men go through with the double standards in our society. When you look at the whole picture of everything that's gone on, then you have to wonder why the majority of people seem to be out of their damn minds. You know, it's sad. I don't like to see it this way. Matter of fact, I hate it this way, but it is. It is what it is, okay? So, when it comes to TFL and incel and men going their own way, and it comes to female gender, and it comes to being a man in today's society, you grow up as the little boy being thrown under the bus if you had sisters, and watching your sisters be pampered in front of your face. Couldn't figure out why your sister was being so pampered, so privileged, and why you were being dumped on and thrown under the bus just because you were a boy. But then, we got gender roles. We have stereotypes. And we have social engineering. And this morning when I got up, I was up early. I was watching a live stream that Hell by the Dashboard Light done on TFL and Incel. That's right. And he said some things that caused me to shut off his live feed. I didn't want to hear no more. Years ago, when I stopped watching him, stopped watching him because of this behavior. I recognize the behavior. It comes out of anger. Comes out of frustration. Do I blame him for being angry? No, I don't. Not at all. I do not blame Alex, Hell by the Dashboard Light, Alex. I do not blame him for being angry, for being mad. There's nothing wrong with the anger he has because the anger he has is justified. The problem I have, though, however, is when you look at another guy because they got a female with him and you start judging that other guy and you don't even know him. And you start calling this other guy all these names and making fun of their looks, making fun of their body, okay? Slamming them down to the ground, calling them loser. Just ridiculing the hell out of this guy that don't even know you, that you don't even know. Merely because they had a female in their life that you don't got in your life. I can understand the anger of you not having a female in your life. It's like when Alex said he don't see it. Where women want taller men than women. He don't see it. And that nobody will agree with him on that. And he was talking to the TFL crowd, the incel crowd. That everybody disagrees with him on that, and he can't get nobody to agree with him on that. That's not part of the picture. That's not an issue. And that he don't see it himself. If he wants to see it himself, all he's got to do is open his eyes and pay attention to his television set. I'm not talking about what he sees in the real world. I'm talking about the hallucination, the mirage, the social engineering, the programming, the tool that's been used against you called the television set in Hollywood. Because if you paid attention to your television set and you watched any movies at all, then you would realize that in that television set screen or in the movie theater screen on film, the women do always have the guy that's taller than them. That's right. But in the real world, there are women who have guys taller than them. There are women who have guys of the same height as them. That's not in the illusion, the mirage, the brainwashing, the programming from a television set. So see, when Alex talks about nobody agrees with him, he don't see where there's a height that is, the size he is, the height he is, has ever been an advantage to him. And everybody disagrees with him and says the women want taller men themselves. There's some truth to that and there's some non-truth to that. This has been socially engineered. And so when Alex says he don't see it, I don't know what region Alex lives in or where Alex drives at and where Alex goes to a gym at and where Alex shops at or anything like this. But I do know this, in the real world, if you went out and opened your eyes and paid attention, you would find out it's not 100% across the board that women are always with a guy taller than them. That is not 100% across the board on any by means at all. So therefore, knowing this to be the truth and the real truth, when he says nobody agrees with him, that's because they're all going by the image that's been fed to them and shoved in their face on their television set their whole lives. They wouldn't be lying about what they saw on their TV set, what they saw at the movie theater in the movie. No, they would not be lying at all about that. But if they go with that perception, then they're not going to agree with Alex. But if they went out in the real world, they would find out, yes, there are women that are with taller guys. And there are also women with guys their own size. That nothing's 100% across the board. Most people forget about individuality. Even though we have social engineering that has shaped the way we think and the way we act, it doesn't affect everybody to 100% across the board. Okay, it really doesn't. And not everybody acts the same as somebody else. Because you still have individuality. So I stand with Alex on this when it comes to women taller than men and him not seeing it. Okay? The only thing that I would ever shoot Alex for would be slamming other men down, talking about how disgustingly ugly or whatever for another man in his perception. Like as if somehow this other man is not a human being with emotions, feelings, wants, or needs. Okay? Who has emotions, feelings, wants, and needs just like Alex has. This man don't control his looks. He's born with his looks from his parents. And no, he should not have to go to some hospital and spend $50,000 in plastic surgery to please some other lunatic that's using their eyeballs to look at him. First rule of thumb in life is nobody, and I don't care who you are, keeps their looks. Nobody. Looks are a cover. Looks are artificial. Looks can hide evil, twisted, sick people that would dump on you and treat you lower than dirt, Johnny on the dime. But see, we live in a society that's pampered to looks, isn't it? It sure has. Fashion industry, the modeling industry, your television set, once more time, Hollywood. That's right. Cheerleaders for teams, for sports. That's right. The popular girls labeling things, labeling human beings on a sexual value in the market. That's right. As if we're a piece of meat on a shelf to be priced, to be put a price tag on. And we're going to label that piece of meat that this is a 10 and this is a 9 and this is an 8. And you might be trying to date outside your league. Okay, so we're going to do this based on looks, stats, and money. That's right. And we're going to make a labeling system. This is what our society's been really good for. This is where the word loser came from. This is where the word geek, nerd. You've all heard these words. The majority of these words apply to men only. Not all of them, and it's still not 100%. There are women nerds, women geeks, but they're not stereotyped like men are. Because she could be a woman nerd, a woman geek, and she's still going to have her life handed to her. But on the other hand, if you're a male, a man, you will be dumped on with all the double standards in our society. You will have the worst end of the stick. See, men have to compete against men for a woman. Men had to compete against men for success, monetary gain, image. That's right. The mirage, the illusion. It's sick. It's disgusting. Shouldn't be happening, but is happening. Okay? I don't play into any of this stuff, never have, and probably never will. It's no different than races. If I'm going to talk about black people, if I'm going to talk about Asians, if I'm going to talk about whatever race I'm talking about, we're still all human beings with feelings, emotions, wants, and needs. You don't ask to be born where you're born and who your parents are. You didn't have no say-so in that. You had no control over that. So if you was born a black child, it's obviously because you had a black mom, a black dad. Sometimes you have a black dad and a white mom, huh? Yeah. And you come out sort of in between black, right? But mostly black, right? Because of the interracial thing, you know. But I really personally don't care what your race is because I understand the one common thing is that we're all human beings. We all have wants, our feelings, emotions, and needs. And we're not that much different than each other. So, you know, and when people want to think that we are that much different than one another, we're not. The differences are normal because we're supposed to be individual human beings. Because I like something don't mean you're necessarily going to like what I like. Don't mean necessarily I like what you like. But then again, so on the other hand, I might like certain things you like, and you might like certain things I like, and you know, you may feel differently about a topic than I feel differently about a topic. But see, this is how it's supposed to be. This is called individuality. It's called being a human being. It's called being yourself. But what I see in today's society is too many people are so worried about fitting in that they're going to put on a fake illusion to be somebody they're not. Especially when it comes to trying to in the dating arena trying to impress the one person that's most likely going to dump all over you. And why is she going to dump all over you? I said she, because we've pampered her, we've spoiled her, we've placed her above herself. We haven't held her accountable for her actions. And we've sat back and allowed the criminals at the top of this pyramid to control us. We do as they say through fear. We don't stand up for ourselves. We just bend over and say, here's the lube, Ralph. And I'm not trying to be an ass when I say that, but that's really what you see everybody doing. Men and women alike. Because you're so afraid of not fitting in. And that's really what that comes down to. And when you're afraid of not fitting in or what somebody else thinks of you, what you're really doing is giving up your own individuality. Your right to expression, to be who you want to be. You're giving that up for another human being. Like somehow they're more superior than you, huh? No, they're not. Not at all. Nobody is over nobody else. I don't care what people tell me. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what your position in life is. You're not better than somebody else, over somebody else. You're not somebody else's boss. You're not somebody else's God. No, you're not. You're a human being like the rest of us. Now, if you're an egomaniac that believes you are, it's because you need to go see a psychiatrist. Maybe you might want to visit the rubber room and put on a straitjacket for a while until you can pull your head out of your you-know-what. And that's the way I feel about anybody that looks down on somebody else. Because when you're looking down on somebody else, what you're really doing is looking down on the mirror at yourself. So when you keep perceiving and looking down on somebody else and somehow they're lower than you, that's because you're staring at your own damn face that's lower than yourself. And I hate to be that way and say it that way, but you got to come to reality. Nobody keeps their looks. This labeling and putting categories on everything is a crock of shit. Excuse my language. Always has been, always will be. You know, and as much as I think Alex has said a lot of really good stuff out by the dashboard light over the time he's been making videos, I agree with a whole bunch of stuff the man says. But you know, on his last video up, I had to bring up the height issue because that is not 100% across the board. When he says nobody agrees with him, well, every single movie they've ever watched, or sitcom they've ever watched, or love story they've ever watched, on their television set or in the movie theater, the man is always taller than the woman. That is social engineering. When Alex says he don't see it, well, maybe he's not watching the movies. Maybe he's not watching his television set. If he is, he must have put on his blinders. If he's talking about the real world, you have a percentage of women that are definitely shorter than the man. But you also have women that are the same size as the man they're with. Nothing's 100% across the board. Like I said earlier when I started this live stream, I don't dislike Alex. I would love to have Alex on a live feed. But Alex knows this. I'm not stupid. I know Alex knows this already. And Alex is ignoring me like the plague. I wasn't born yesterday. He's only fooling himself. I know that there's people that's told Alex this and asked Alex this. And I know that Alex has also ignored you like the plague. I'm not stupid to that. It's sad, but there's the division that I told you from the beginning. That my goal was to bring the manosphere together, but I didn't see it happening. And the reason I didn't see it happening was from that type of behavior right there. That very behavior that Alex demonstrates, okay, is the behavior that I've witnessed for years from people, okay, and so, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not going to put a gun to the guy's head. I'm not going to twist his arm, put a knife to him. No. If he wants to do a live stream with me, he's going to want to do it or he ain't going to want to do it, and that's just that. That's the way it is, okay? The sad thing about it is, though, the manosphere needs to come together. Nobody's ever going to agree across the board on everything to begin with. That's just not natural. That's not even part of reality. And you got to stop living an illusion in a bubble. And you got to start living reality. Whether you like to or not, you got to start living reality. So, and the only way we're ever going to bring the manosphere together is when people can pull their heads out of there. You know what? The men are more divided than the women are about a long shot. And that stands out. It really does. It stands out. But for TFLers, for incels, for people like Alex, it's one of them things that, you can complain all you want, but unless you're willing to stand with the other people that are going through the same problems with you and not shut up about it. And why do you need to stand with other people who's making the same complaint as you? Because numbers makes power, which that will grab attention. That's why. Until you get society's attention, they will keep turning their head and looking the other way. Sort of like what Alex does when and I know that he knows that if I'd like to have him on our live stream. I mean, that's why I told you I'm not dumb to this. I was not born yesterday. I know this man knows this. I'm sure he's heard me say it or somebody's told him. I'm not stupid to that, okay? But as you can tell, the man is clearly ignoring me. But it's the same thing that we see all the time, and we could never stand together. The manosphere could never come together with that type of a mentality. And coming together is actually more important than what you people realize, because it's through numbers that are complaining of the same things in society that you can effectively catch some attention to eventually make a change. So, and this is why I think it's so crucial that you need to understand that whether you're a fraudulent MGTOW, a real MGTOW, whether you're love shy, whether you're incel, whether you're men's rights activist, whether you're a TFLer, it does not matter to me, because the common denominator is the majority of the complaints are the same on all sides, regardless of what you're calling yourself. And it is a situation where numbers can make a big difference. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight. No, and it's still going to be hard to change because it wasn't no accident. This has been done deliberately. NWO, social engineering, divide and conquer. Okay, and I see what you're saying off the grid, but that doesn't change the fact that He's an angry man, which he has a right to be angry. I don't take his anger away from him. I think he's justified in his anger. I really do. But at the same token, I think he's directing his anger in the wrong direction. Why do you want to direct your anger at some guy who has a female in his life and slam that guy to the ground and talk about his looks and cut him down and call him a loser? Why are you attacking some guy that's never done nothing to you because he has a female? You know, that guy's as much of a human being as the rest of us. I'm sure Alex wouldn't want to be attacked and slammed and called all their names because he had a female in his life. See, that's just wrong. He's directing his anger the wrong direction. His anger is justified, but his anger needs to be directed at the people responsible for this. Not just the average Joe is responsible for this. So that's my feeling on that. So no, I don't agree. That's why I cut his video off that I was watching that he posted last night. I cut it off when he started calling this guy a loser and making fun of him. This is why I stopped watching him before. Because his anger is justified, but he's directing his anger the wrong direction. He really needs to understand where the problem came from and then direct his anger to the people responsible for this problem that we're all experiencing. Well, off the grid, you have a girlfriend. Whip-de ding ding. And I'm not trying to be an ass when I say that. Off the grid, I have a child that I raised and a wife of that child that I was with for a lot of years. I have a wife now, right? Okay? You understand this, right? You also understand having that girlfriend also comes with drama and difficulty. Sometimes it's completely insane. Okay? And I don't wish you a bad relationship by no means. I don't wish that on anybody. But I will honestly say this, the majority of men and women don't know what the hell they're doing nor how to treat each other. And if you can make a success out of it, I'll give you all hands up. If it fails, well, it's probably failed from social engineering. Okay? You're going to make mistakes just like I'm going to make mistakes, just like we've all made mistakes along the way. And she's going to make mistakes just like you are because guess what? She's a human being like the rest of us. That's right. And it's all going to be up to you and her to make that work. She has to put as much into it as you put into it. And that's what I have to say to you off the grid. It takes work from both of you. And it takes being friends to make it work. So, and it's not one-sidedness. And that's really where it comes from, okay? It's never been. You have to put 50% of yourself into this, and she has to put 50% of herself into this. You have to respect her feelings, and she has to respect your feelings. It's not about changing one another. It's about accepting and liking each other for who each other is. If you two can accomplish that, you should have a pretty good life. Not that you're going to be difficult free. One of the things that I've said to people that people really need to focus in on is to be fair with the female and the female to be fair with you. You're not going to always agree. And this is a fact of life. So, one time when you have a disagreement, you forfeit your way off the grid and you do it her way. But the next time a disagreement comes up, she forfeits her way and does it your way. And you rotate that back and forth. Because if you do that, then what you're doing is you're being equal to each other. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because it can never be 100% across the board her way, and it can never be 100% across the board your way. It's the same thing as saying, I wear the pants in my house. What you're really saying is your partner's a slave when you make that statement. Nobody wants to be a slave to the other person, okay? Nobody. That's not a gender issue, that's just a reality. Most people don't understand this. It's just like dating. They think that dating is about putting their dick in a hole, when dating is actually about getting to know somebody, becoming friends. And then, and I've done this social engineering stuff and put it in your face. There is no such thing as a friend zone. That is social engineering to destroy a relationship. That is to stop relationships from happening. And guys need to really understand this when guys say, no, a man and a woman cannot just be friends. You have destroyed the foundation to what leads to real love and lifelong relationships when you say that. See, a guy and a gal can be friends, just friends. Because that's what dating was about, was to become friends if you could. To get to know one another and become friends. If you could hang out together, do things together. And then through that friendship, of course, you got to always have open communication. Talk about how each other feels, respect each other's feelings. But through this is where real love comes from. And it's the only way you'll find real love. Real love is not your ability to shove your damn penis in a woman's hole. This is where people have lost their damn minds, and social engineering has completely destroyed them and the foundation to a relationship. You know? Now, when you're married, the type of people that are your friends most commonly are going to be other married people. That is the way it needs to be. If you are married, then your friends that you and your wife see should also be married couples. This is just a fact. It needs to be that way because you don't want to be married. You're mingling around with singles who are looking, because especially in today's society, you're going to turn your back and this fool's going to be hitting on your wife, thinking it makes him a better man if he takes your wife away from you. And you're going to be shoving your fist down his throat and your feet down his throat, and the drama's on, the domestic violence is on, the police are there, lives get destroyed. Not worth it. Not worth it. Married couples need to mingle with married couples as far as going out with your friends and doing things. Now, I know a lot of people don't understand this, but this is really what it has to be. And if they're not married, it doesn't matter. If the couple you're with, if they're together as boyfriend and girlfriend, that's fine too. If you know what I'm saying, this is where I'm going with this, because it is important that people understand these things. Because you cannot create a strong relationship with somebody if you're not their friend first. You cannot have a strong family unit or a foundation for a family unit that you build on quicksand, that you build on the side of a fucking loose dirt mountain in a rainstorm to be washed to the bottom and crushed. because you are too naive to understand that men and women had to be friends. The social engineering machine out there, they don't want you to be friends. They want you to think that men and women cannot be friends. That's the reason I did the 2 social engineering videos I showed you. That first one, I clearly showed you that guy going around interviewing, can men and women just be friends? See, this is all done deliberately to convince you that you cannot just be a friend with a woman. And through doing so, you help to destroy the foundation of a real relationship. It's all social engineering. That's the reason I done what I done. I showed you what I showed you. It's because I try to get that through people's heads so they can correct their own selves from their own mistakes, men and women alike. So that maybe they could have a successful relationship if they do meet a woman. I mean, off the grid, I totally respect you. You have a female in your life. I don't know you, but I totally respect you for that. Yet even so, you're still in the TFL community and you're saying what you say. But you know, I just like myself. I gave the name to TFL and I support TFLers and incels because they're right. It's harder than hell to get a woman in their life. And so many men can't even get a woman in their life. And that, that example, New York City, with the Tinder experiment, if that don't scream TFL in your face, then what does? And how so many men would compete against each other for one female. Then you wonder why the female's ego would be totally inflated, huh? I mean, if this don't scream a problem in your face, then I guess you're sound asleep. And for me, it's like this. I would love to bring the manosphere together because it is through numbers of people when you got millions of men all over the world living TFL or incel or, love shy, blah, 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 the names you're given, right? With all screaming the same problems. Well, but if that millions of men would stand together and start crying out, you could actually grab some attention. And the people who socially engineered this at the top may not like it, but you could force a change on society then. And no, it's not going to happen overnight. But if you don't stand together and start somewhere, it ain't never going to happen. And you need to remember that. And if you want to think you're going to correct something for the next generation, well, that's not going to happen through doing nothing about it. That's not going to happen by sitting around and shutting your mouth. That's why I said, Mark Passio and myself, I see a lot of myself in Mark Passio. No, not straight across the board, but I see a lot of myself in him. Because I understand so much what's going on. And that you have to have thick skin. And you have to do something. You can't say, well, I'll do it tomorrow and keep putting it off because you're never going to do it. You've got to start somewhere and then you've got to freaking stay determined. If you want change, you can make the change happen. When you have millions of men all over the world saying the same thing and you have a war on the genders going on, that war can be brought to a stop if the genders would just take their heads out of the you-know-what, and if the men would stop being divided and start standing together. And that's the only reason I come down on Alex the way I come down on Alex when he's slamming another man for having a female in her life. I shut the video off when I hear him saying that shit. It's not worth listening to him. I understand the man's anger. Don't get me wrong. It's just the man is directing his anger at people who've done nothing to him. He's not directing his anger at where the problem came from. His anger needs to be directed at where it came from. Not to some innocent bystander who's done nothing to him. And who is he to judge what some other woman, what another man looks like, and that he's too ugly and too this and too that to be with that girl? Who the hell is he to judge that? The last time I looked, it was up to that girl that's with that guy and that guy. They're together. Who they're with, it's not up to somebody else to decide that for them. And this looks thing is just gone overboard because nobody keeps their looks. That's why I've told people for years, come on, get your ass down to the nursing home and meet some of these elderly men and women and have them show you their pictures of when they were your age, when they were young. Guaranteed they'll be so happy to have your company and they'll gladly go through their family photos with you. And then you can get the real eye-opener of, hey, one day I'm going to look like this too. And guess what? It's going to be faster than you think. I'm 58 years old already and it don't seem possible. I'm telling you, it does not seem possible that I should be 58 years old. But I am. And so, for you people out there thinking you're going to keep your damn looks and somehow you're immune to age, no, you're not. The older you get, the faster the years go. How many of you know that? I hate to say that, but the older you get, the faster the years go by. And one day, not too long from now, Off the Grid is going to be sitting there saying, fuck, I'm 58 years old. How the hell did that happen? Of course, I probably won't be here when he does that, but then he's going to remember what I just said now, and he's going to say, oh my God. And he's going to realize what I'm talking about. Because I just myself was like, where the hell did time go? How did I get 58 already? So then I refused to be older, right? So I said, okay, I can't turn the number around because then I'd even be older yet, right? So I'll just add the two of them together, and that's what I feel like I want to be today, is 13 years old. That sounds better to me. Of course, my wife don't buy it. She keeps telling me that 5 plus 8 equals 58. And I said, no, it don't. 5 plus 8 equals 13. So I must be 13 years old. She says, nope. 5 plus 8 equals 58. And I'm like, okay, fine. But it's one of them things. There's nothing I can do about it. See, this is why I try to tell people, man, you got to go to a nursing home. You got to meet some of these elderly people. You've got to understand that this is your future. And that your life is a whole lot shorter than you believe it is. And that nobody keeps their looks. It's so critical to get to know somebody. If you want a female in your life, to get to know them. And she's so critical for her to get to know you and to become friends. Because it's only through friendship that you could ever have a meaningful relationship. Well, there you go. See, Off the Grid? So did I at one time in my life. I worked in a nursing home. Now, believe it or not, all the elderly people you've seen in that nursing home, at one time they were your age. They sure was. And it wasn't that long ago for them neither. And that's no lie. That's fact. Because age creeps up on you faster than you know it does. And most people don't want to realize that, man. They think because they're fucking in their 20s, they're young, that they're going to keep them damn looks. And that they're some macho fuck, when they're not. And looks, like I said before, looks hides evil anyhow. It's getting to know somebody for who they are and accepting each other for who you are and liking somebody and loving somebody for who somebody is. It's nothing less than that. And because you meet a girl and you go on a date with a girl doesn't mean you're going to be compatible. You might have lots of differences that says you never could actually be together. So then you meet another girl and you go on another date and you don't get angry at that girl because she's different than you. You know, the majority of relationships in today's society is created out of lust. And if you create a relationship merely out of lust, you're asking for failure. That's setting yourself up for failure because you went by lust. And don't tell me you're going to kill the lust is most important, because I'll tell you what, if lust is most important to you, walk into that nursing home and check out these elderly people and see if that lust is still there. What do you mean that lust ain't there no more? Of course it's not. Because it's like anything else. It's artificial. It's fake. See, a meaningful relationship doesn't come from lust. There's nothing wrong with sex. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking sex down. I'm just telling you. You know, and so you cannot put the focuses on looks. I can understand you want a little bit of attraction. I got nothing against somebody for saying they need a little bit of attraction. I got nothing against nobody for that. But you got to understand that the focuses needs to be on focusing on really getting to know one another for real. Because it's through friendship that you will ride into real love. It's through that bond of true friendship, open communication, understanding each other's feelings, respecting each other's feelings, and not trying to change your partner to your want. Doesn't matter what gender you are. These are the things that people fail at the most. And then no fighting over monetary gain, because not everybody can be successful. Not everybody's going to be rich. You might freaking struggle and go from payday to payday. You might be flat ass broke. But if she loves you and you love her, you're still going to be happy, even if you're flat ass broke. And that's no lie. Because that's the other thing that comes between relationships and breaks up relationships is monetary. Monetary. You know, it's not easy because it takes being responsible, holding down a job. And when I say being responsible, that means being responsible with what money you're making. Understanding your priorities. Your priorities should always be the roof over your head, then your utilities, then food, that's right, clothing, and so on, before entertainment. If you have enough clothing, that's fine, but the roof over your head, the utilities, and the food that you're feeding yourself, and the water or whatever you're drinking, these are all necessities for survival. Well, you know, most of the MGTOW movement is fraudulent to begin with. Not that there isn't real MGTOWers, but I'm going to tell you right now, the number's low. The majority of so-called men going their own way are fraudulent fakes who are chasing after girls behind the scene and they're not going their own way at all. Okay? And that's no lie, that's fake. That's just the way it is. You know, and unfortunately, the majority of them are TFLers in denial. Yes, I've seen this, and that's because of our social engineering and because of the fact that people don't respect other people. Let's look at the reality. The reality is the woman's hit on all the time, not the guy. The reality is there's lots of men who don't give a shit that she's your wife. To them, that's a challenge. So behind your back, they're going to hit on your woman. Your woman, if she loves you, she's not going to have an easy time when she's not with you because she's going to be hit on by guys that won't take no for an answer, that don't give a shit when she says, I'm already married, I'm already taken, who are thinking that they're going to one-up you, the boyfriend or the husband, and get in your woman's pants. And this is happening all the time. So these women are being hit on all the time, even when they're taken. Their options are through the roof. Men do not have these options. They really don't. What few men have these options are just as messed up as the women are. You don't have an epidemic of TFL and incel worldwide because this stuff's not going on. Oh, yes, that's correct. And they have fucking choice after choice after choice after choice. Now put yourself in the woman's shoes. You grew up in a world where you've been pampered, placed on a pedestal, over sexualized, and then you have all the choice. And even when you have somebody in your life, you have guys hitting on you all the time who want to outdo the guy that you're with, who want to take her away from you at the first chance they can. This is the society we live in. And the only fix for that is understanding where real love comes from, because if this woman falls in love with you for real and you fall in love with her for real, she is going to tell all these guys no, and for the guys that don't take no for an answer, she'll introduce her husband to them. And then they'll stop hitting on her. Because there's asshole guys out here that really believe, and it's a game to them, it's a challenge, it's a sport, it's an arena, to see if I can't put my dick in your girlfriend's hole behind your back. Then call myself a better man. I call that a deader man, not a better man. A deader man, the guy that got a bullet between his eyes, his head blown off, his teeth shoved down his throat. But this is the reality. This is what's going on. So even in a woman's shoes, it's not easy. Okay, look on my channel. You'll see Christy Misty. Christy O'Misty's up there. I like the gal. She speaks a lot of damn truth. She disappeared for a long time. She don't do stuff very often. And I think that's because she's got a husband in her life and she's got a couple kids. Can you imagine a female like her? Don't you realize she's being hit on all the time, even with a husband? I'll guarantee you, Christy O'Misty's being hit on all the time, without a husband. And the only reason she's with the guy she's with, if she loves him, is for that reason. But could she throw the husband away, Johnny, on the spot, and replace him just like that? Oh, hell yes, she can. She always have that option. It's the guys that don't have that option. It's the female that does. Feminism has destroyed society. You know, there's many different tools that went into the destruction of our society. There's many different tools that went into causing TFL and incel. It's not just feminism. It's social engineering all the way. It's been deliberately done, divide and conquer. The best thing I can tell you is that's what it's always been about, is divide and conquer, divide and conquer. Break down the family unit, destroy the genders, pit the genders against one another, have the genders fighting each other and hating each other. And then when it came to men, we did the double whammy, and men hating on men because they have a woman in their life and this guy don't. And throwing other men under the bus to try to impress some other female. It's insanity, it really is. It's off the wall. Yeah, you're right. The government will never stop. You're 100% correct. It won't. Government is mind control. It's nothing but your enslavement. It's nothing but a bunch of sick, in the head psychopaths who need stopped themselves. But that'll never happen without the people standing up to them. And unfortunately, most people are too big of cowards to stand up to them. You know, the only sad thing, I'm with you, go off the grid. I agree with you buying the land or what have you. The only sad thing about it is you'll never be able to own it. Don't tell me, oh, yes, I will, because no, you won't. Not without lots of men and lots of guns and lots of cannons and lots of everything else to prevent these criminal screwballs from coming onto your land and trying to take it from you. Because the first time you don't give them property taxes on that land that was never theirs to begin with, they're going to send their thugs with badges down to your place. And then if you fight them, they'll send their other order followers wearing uniforms called military to your place. That's right, they'll send all their thugs your way because you didn't pay them for something that never belonged to them. You can work hard as you want, save your money, and buy your land, and you could buy the materials from Lowe's or Home Depot, and you could build your own house, and as you buy the materials, you pay the taxes on the materials, right? And so you save your money, you buy up the materials a little at a time, paying the taxes on the materials you buy. You buy your piece of land, you go out there and you build your own house. All of your money went into it, all your labor went into it. You build it yourself. And then these criminal screwballs are going to come along and say, you need to pay me taxes on that there house you built. And you're going to say, now hold on a minute. I paid the taxes on all the supplies as I bought them. So the taxes have already been paid. And they're going to say, nope, it's a finished product now. We own it. You're going to say, no, you don't own it. I own it. I worked my tail off for the money, bought the supplies, cut the wood, put the wood together, built the house myself. And they're going to say, so what? We still own it. And you're going to pay us this taxes every year, or we're going to send the thugs down and steal it from you. And we're all going to sit back and say, okay, and give them our money. I'm sorry, but that is the real truth when it comes to owning land and property. You know, it's sad. I don't agree with it. I think if off the grid bought a piece of land and they need to use property taxes to pay fire department, police department, repair the roads, okay. You pay taxes on the land once a year, okay, I can agree to that, right? But if off the grid went out and he bought himself all the supplies from Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever, and he paid taxes at the checkout line, which they're going to nail him with, okay? And he built up the supplies and he went out to his land and he cut and did all the labor and built his own home. Okay, he should continue to pay property taxes on the land, but not his house. See, he already paid for taxes on his house when he bought the supplies. He done all the labor. But these criminal screwballs, they're going to tell off the grid that you owe them taxes for the house as well. Now, you see how sick this is? And you know how it got this way? Because we done nothing about it. I agree, double dipping is theft, but they don't see it that way. No, not at all. They don't see it that way. They say that's an asset you put on the land that up the value of the land. So therefore your taxes go up and you say, hold on. I paid for the taxes in the house. My property is the same property I've always had. I bought an acre of land and I paid taxes on an acre of land, and it is suddenly an acre and a half now. They said, no, but you built a house on it and we got to charge you more taxes. No, you don't. You already got taxes on my supplies when I bought them. Nope, sorry, it's a finished product. We own it. If you don't pay us taxes, we're taking it from you. And we're just all going to bend over and keep putting up with it. Keep putting up with it. It's pretty pathetic if you ask me, but that's the way it is, huh? And that's the way it is because we've allowed it to be that way. Because we never stood up for ourselves. That's the reason it's that way. There is no other reason it's that way. That is the reason it's that way. I'm 100% with off the grid if he wants to buy his own piece of property and go put his own house up or whatever he wants to do. I'm all for it. I'm just not for the corruption. I think that, okay, you want to use property taxes to build the roads, to pay for this, to pay for that. Okay. If that money's legitimately being used for that stuff that you're driving on, and fire department put out the fire or whatever, okay, I can agree to that. But if you buy and put a house on a piece of land you bought, and you pay for this son of a bitch taxes and all, no, I don't agree that we up the taxes because you put a house on it. I don't agree that no, we're going to pay property taxes on the house that you already paid taxes for. Double dipping, as the man would say. But unfortunately, that's exactly what they do. Hell, here in Minnesota, you can't even own a mobile home without paying the courthouse property taxes for a mobile home that's titled as a vehicle. Now, if I went to somewhere like Colorado or Iowa and bought a mobile home, I don't pay property taxes on the mobile home itself because it's titled as a car. Though I have to pay for a permit if I move it. Sort of like buying a tag, okay? But as long as it's sitting stationary on its land or on its lot, wherever you got it, you don't pay property taxes on it. But if you come to Minnesota, you'll find out you pay property taxes for a mobile home. Like as if it's a house. Even if it's in a trailer park and you don't own the land, they're telling you got to pay property taxes for a mobile home. So, and I mean, I'm watching this shit go down all the time. So, and I see this stuff and I say, oh, that's just total corruption. I don't care what you tell me. That is total corruption. It's just about stealing what don't belong to you is all it's about. It's about thievery. It's about you slaves, us slaves bending over and taking it. And I'm about not bending over and not taking it, bucking the system. And I'm about all of us standing together and fighting back and putting a stop to these criminals and taking it away from them what they've stolen from us and giving it back to us, the people, and locking their dumb asses up. I just don't got enough people on my side is all. But I guess with that being said, guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. But I wanted to come up and have my little what is this Monday rant? Give it a little screaming session. But with that being said, I'm gonna get on out of here, and you guys all have a good one.